Name the enemy, what PPD actually is. Let's name the enemy clearly, so your brain can stop fighting fog. Performance persona dissonance is the chronic gap between the self you perform and the self you actually experience. Not a one-off, I'm nervous at a party, but a baseline mismatch. Outside, you run high definition, polished, capable, strategically expressed. Inside, it feels low-res, muted, vague, and oddly distant from your own moments. Why does it feel like fraud, even when you're not lying about anything? The thing most people miss is that your brain confuses approval signals with safety signals. Early on, or through repeated social learning, your nervous system starts tagging, "They approve of me," as "I am safe." Over time, that shortcut quietly upgrades to "This must be who I am," so you can be completely competent, even kind, and still feel unreal. Because what's driving your choices isn't inner alignment, it's external readouts. The brain keeps asking, "Are we safe?" by scanning faces, metrics, and feedback, not your values, sensations, or needs. PPD has 3 layers that usually stack. Role performance. You enter roles that reliably get good responses. The expert, the caretaker, the entertainer, the stoic, the chameleon. Each role buys short-term relief. Emotional suppression. You downshift feelings that would complicate the role. Doubt, anger, grief, even joy if it risks disapproval. Narrative management. You curate explanations that keep the role coherent. I'm just disciplined. I'm easygoing. I love being useful, even when your body disagrees. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Performance can be accurate and still feel unreal. You might truly be good at leading a meeting or supporting a friend. The unreality shows up when those actions are selected to prevent loss of approval rather than to express preference or principle. The reason this works, until it doesn't, is because approval is an intermittent reward. Some days you get the hit, some days you don't. Intermittent rewards wire fast. You end up pulling the same lever harder. Quick checks help you verify the pattern without pathologizing yourself. Do you dread unstructured time because there's nothing to perform? Do compliments feel like traps? Like if you accept them, you'll be forced to keep delivering at that level? Do you rehearse simple interactions or pre-write texts just to avoid a micro-moment of awkwardness? Do you feel a sharp panic right after you say something honest, even when it landed fine? Let me show you exactly how it plays out in a normal day. You wake up and instantly scan what room you're entering: work, family, friends. Your brain activates the relevant persona. You match tone, pick language, suppress disagreement. You get approval. The nervous system exhales. But because it wasn't your felt preference that guided you, there's a tiny separation inside. Repeat this enough times, and your internal monitor freezes. Others see crisp detail. You feel like you're buffering. Actually, let me back up and explain this better. Think of PPD as a perception loop. External cues flash: expectations, norms, algorithms, literal faces. Your persona activates automatically to buy safety. You get short-term relief. Long-term, though, the cost is disconnection from your internal signals. The longer you run the loop, the more your body learns it needs the loop to feel okay. That's why willpower alone fails. You can't outact a system designed to act. You need to change the metric of safety and retrain how your body recognizes it. The thing most people miss about the body piece: PPD isn't just cognitive. Your nervous system picks up habits. Shallow breathing, so you can talk without pausing. A tight jaw to swallow disagreement. A slightly frozen face to keep reactions neutral. These micro-postures are effective at reducing social risk, but they also reduce interoception, your sense of your inner state. When you can't feel much, you can't choose from feeling. You default to persona. Common mistakes to watch for right here. Trying to blow up your life with a dramatic truth bomb to feel real. Or trying to think your way out with affirmations while keeping every behavior the same. Both approaches reinforce the loop, either by turning authenticity into another performance, or by sidelining the body that's actually running the show. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember this: PPD is not your identity. It's a learned safety strategy. Learned strategies can be unlearned when you swap the metric from "did they approve" to "did I act in alignment with my values, even slightly?" That's the lever we'll pull in the protocol. Now, you might be thinking, but I need some level of performance to function. Jobs, families, social norms, these aren't optional. True, the goal isn't zero performance. It's reducing the invisible tax. You keep useful roles, but you drive them from choice, not fear. You stay socially skilled, but you stop letting the room decide who you are. Before we continue, A couple of quick self-tests you can try today. After a meeting or hangout, ask, what did I feel before, during, and after? If the answer is, I don't know 3 times, that's a sign the loop dominated. Second, right after someone praises you, pause and name one effort-based reason you're proud of yourself that has nothing to do with the result. If that feels awkward, good. You're touching the edge of the glitch. Once you see PPD clearly, you'll start spotting its fingerprints in tiny places. The extra emoji you add to soften a boundary, the overlong email to prevent misinterpretation, the way you defer your opinion until you know which way the wind is blowing. Seeing this isn't shaming, it's power. Once you can see the loop, you can change the loop. And that's where we're headed next. The 7 red flag symptoms of PPD. Now that you can see the loop, let's get specific. Symptoms are the smoke that tells you where the fire is. If a few of these land, you're not broken. You're reading your dashboard correctly. Red flag 1. Chronic comparison that keeps moving the goalposts. The thing most people miss is that comparison isn't just envy. It's a safety scan. Your brain's asking, where do I rank so I don't get kicked out? You hit a milestone, feel relief for a day, then your mind upgrades the standard. How it shows up? You check someone's profile, you feel behind, you add 2 more tasks, and your nervous system settles only after you've closed the gap. Practical check. If your sense of enough updates every time someone else posts a win, that's the loop driving. Red flag 2. Conditional self-worth. It sounds like, I'm only okay if I'm impressive or useful. This is approval equals safety dressed up as work ethic or kindness. You overfunction, then resent it, then double down because scaling back feels like danger. Why it sticks? Intermittent praise. You'll get thanked just enough to reinforce the rule. Quick test. If you rest, do you feel guilty or lazy within 20 minutes? That guilt is the mask's alarm, not a moral compass. Red flag 3. Emotional numbness with sudden spikes. Most days feel flat, then out of nowhere panic, shame, or anger hits hard. That's what happens when you suppress to perform. The body can't process what it can't feel, so pressure builds and vents in bursts. A client version. I'm fine. Why did I just cry at a commercial? Common mistake, blaming the spike itself. The real issue is the hours of micro-freezing before it. Try this. Schedule a 2-minute check midday, jaw, breath, stomach. If you can't detect anything, you're already in the freeze. Red flag 4. Fear of exposure. You keep self-editing and dread being found out, even when you're qualified. This isn't just imposter syndrome, it's persona surveillance. Your internal auditor is always scanning for deviations from the role. The twist: the more competent you get, the bigger the stage, the louder the fear. Why? More eyes, higher perceived cost of dropping the act. Quick cue. If a simple, I don't know yet feels like social suicide, the mask is steering. Red flag 5. The impulse to script interactions and avoid surprises. You draft texts, rehearse jokes, plan your tone. Freeform social time feels like a test you didn't study for. Scripting is a control strategy to guarantee approval and skip awkwardness. It works short-term, but it keeps your spontaneity offline. Here's the shortcut. Allow 1 unscripted line per day. If your heart spikes and then returns to baseline within a minute, that's your nervous system learning you can survive real time. Red flag 6. Compulsive productivity as an anxiety regulator. You stay moving to outrun identity anxiety. When in doubt, you open a tab, start a task, optimize something. Activity equals safety, stillness equals threat. The result? You're productive, but never present. Measure it. Notice what happens in the first 5 minutes of unscheduled time. If your hand reaches for a device without a conscious choice, that's the loop auto-activating. Red flag 7. Post-achievement hollowness. You climb, you win, and then you feel nothing, or even worse than before. That's the dopamine crash after chasing approval-driven goals. It's not that your goal was wrong. It's that your nervous system expected the win to fix the disconnection. It can't. The mask can collect trophies. It can't feel them. Quick repair. After a win, name 1 value you practice to get there. Patience, courage, curiosity. That reconnects effort with identity, which softens the crash. A few pattern notes so you can calibrate instead of catastrophize. These red flags often travel together. Comparison feeds conditional worth, which drives productivity, which produces numbness, which raises fear of exposure. Severity fluctuates with context. Certain rooms amp your masks, family gatherings, performance reviews, social media. Track context, not just symptoms. The absence of distress doesn't always mean you're free of PPD. Some people report fine as a baseline because numbness has become normal. The tell is how much energy you spend maintaining fine. Now, here's where most people mess up. They see these symptoms and either try to white-knuckle authenticity, oversharing to prove they're real, or they retreat and perfect the mask further. Both paths strengthen the loop. Instead, think of symptoms as signals for small reps. Each red flag gives you a doorway, a chance to practice imperfection, shift your metric, or set one clean boundary. Once you start recognizing these patterns, everything else clicks. You'll catch the extra emoji you add to buy warmth, the apology you type to prepay for a no, the way you delay sending a normal email because you're polishing safety. Don't shame it, label it. That's the loop. Then do a 2-degree pivot toward alignment. Not a leap, a pivot. This next part separates beginners from pros, tracing the smoke back to the wiring. We've mapped the symptoms. Now we'll track how your brain learned to equate approval with safety in the first place, and why that glitch sticks until you retrain it. Why your brain created this glitch. You didn't wake up one day and decide to feel unreal. Your brain built this on purpose for safety. Start with the survival template. In conditional environments, homes, schools, teams, love or stability shows up when you meet terms. Be helpful, be excellent, be quiet, be entertaining. Your nervous system learns a simple rule. Approval means proximity. Proximity means safety. That's not vanity. That's biology doing math. When the cost of disapproval felt high, conflict, withdrawal, ridicule, your brain locked in the shortcut. Attachment learning sharpens the rule. If caregivers were inconsistent, preoccupied, or explosive, attuning to them became your superpower. You got good at reading micro-expressions, tone shifts, and timing your words. That skill kept you close, but it came with a hidden fee. You started using self-surveillance more than self-reference. The thing most people miss is how efficient this becomes. Hyper-attunement feels like kindness or professionalism, but under stress, it replaces inner guidance. Your body starts asking, "Who do you need me to be?" before it asks, "What do I need?" Now layer in cognitive dissonance. When your actions contradict your private attitudes, say, agreeing to things you don't want, smiling through resentment, your brain feels tension. To reduce the discomfort, it can either change the action or change the story. In performance-heavy systems, change the action risks social cost, so the story gets edited. I'm fine with this. This is who I am. It's not a big deal. The short-term relief is real. The long-term effect is that your belief system drifts toward your behavior. Perform now, feel later. But later keeps getting postponed by the next performance demand. Social amplification makes all of this louder. Modern platforms reward clarity, speed, and polished identity. Algorithms privilege consistent personas and penalize nuance, ambivalence, and slow thinking. That environment mirrors the conditional rooms you learned in, so the shortcut generalizes. You perform a role, receive intermittent reinforcement, likes, promotions, praise, and your brain tags the persona as the safest route. Intermittent rewards are sticky. The unpredictability spikes dopamine and keeps you pulling the lever. That's why one negative comment outweighs 20 kind ones. Your system treats it like a threat signal that must be neutralized. The reason this sticks is not just psychological, it's procedural. Your nervous system encodes the steps: scan, shape, deliver, check. Each loop is a rep. Reps become habits, habits become identity assumptions. Over time, the baseline shifts from "I perform when needed" to "I am the performer." You don't notice the shift because the process is silent. It's just the way you move through rooms, efficient, admired, disconnected. Let me give you a quick micro-story to ground this. A client, let's call him Jay, was the reliable high achiever. Calm in meetings, generous with help, always on. He reported feeling real only when he was outperforming. The minute the project ended, he felt flat and restless, like he'd lost the channel that broadcast his worth. We mapped his loop. Childhood with an unpredictable parent, early praise for being mature. Teenage years spent troubleshooting family dynamics, adult life organized around being indispensable. He wasn't faking competence. He was using competence to regulate attachment anxiety. Once he saw that, everything clicked. The emptiness wasn't a moral failing. It was the aftertaste of persona-driven safety. Here's the game changer nobody talks about: the body debt. When you're chronically performing, you adopt micro-bracing. Tight jaw, chest breathing, fixed gaze, minimal facial movement. These postures are brilliant for risk control, terrible for interoception. Reduced interoception means you feel fewer internal cues, which makes it harder to choose from values or needs. So you rely even more on external cues. That's the self-reinforcing loop in the wild. Before we continue, you need to understand the meaning error. The shortcut isn't just approval equals safety. It quietly becomes approval equals safety equals identity. If they approve me when I'm helpful, I must be the helper. If they approve me when I'm unflappable, I must never rattle. Each applause moment carves the mask deeper. That's why willpower stalls. You're not arguing with a thought. You're arguing with a survival rule. Now, why doesn't success fix it? Because outcomes don't rewrite the operating system that generated them. You can earn status using a mask, but status can't repay body debt or rebuild interoception. You collect proof you're good, yet your nervous system is still waiting for permission to rest. No trophy grants that permission. Only new reps do. Common mistakes here: pathologizing the skill, hyper-attunement, strategic communication, composure. These are assets when they're choices. The problem isn't the tool, it's the monopoly. Another mistake is trying to quit the persona cold turkey. All or nothing flips trigger alarm, which drives a relapse into even tighter control. You don't yank the mask off, you learn to loosen the strap. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Your brain created PPD because for a long time, it worked. It lowered relational risk at a cost you couldn't see. Now you can see it, and that means you can reprice the deal. We'll keep the parts that serve you and retrain the rest so safety comes from alignment, not applause. Next, we'll install an operating model that makes that doable in real life. The PPD Operating System, a simple model. Let's make this practical. Think of PPD like an operating system running in the background. Apps are your behaviors. The OS is the logic wiring them. If we can see the code, we can change the code. Start with the perception loop. It runs like this. External cues pop up. Faces, expectations, deadlines, metrics. Your brain auto-launches a persona to lower perceived risk. You get short-term relief, approval, smoothness, predictability. But there's a hidden side effect, long-term disconnection from your internal signals. Repeat that cycle and your system learns. Relief lives out there. So anytime your inner state is unclear or tense, you reflexively scan outside for instructions. That's why you feel strangely calm when you're on, and oddly lost when the audience disappears. Now the meaning error, the tiny shortcut that creates big trouble. Your brain compresses three ideas into one. Approval equals safety equals identity. When a specific behavior repeatedly earns positive responses, your system tags it as who you are. Not just, I can be helpful, but I am the helper. Not just, I can be composed, but I am the one who never rattles. That fused equation keeps you loyal to the mask, even when it hurts. The reason this works is because it's efficient. The cost is that you forget the difference between a skill and a self. Let's talk body debt. When you're in performance mode, your nervous system uses micro-bracing to control risk, shallow breathing to avoid pauses, tight jaw to swallow disagreement, slightly frozen face to minimize ambiguous signals. These patterns mute interoception, the felt sense of what's happening inside. With a weak internal signal, you default to external scripts. Over time, your baseline becomes vigilant and efficient, but underfed. The meter reads okay, yet you can't feel warmth, curiosity, or preference without effort. That's debt. You owe the body sensations you've been skipping. Then comes the narrative trap. It's the story that protects the system. If I drop the act, I'll lose love, status, opportunities. You gather examples to prove it true. A tough boss, a critical friend, an awkward stumble. But notice the false dilemma. It frames authenticity as reckless exposure rather than calibrated honesty. The trap keeps you overestimating risk and underestimating the cost of staying masked. Once you see it, you can ask a better question. What dose of truth is safe enough to practice today? Here's why willpower fails. You can't outact a system designed to act. If the OS says safety is outside, more effort just makes the loop run faster. You might white-knuckle a few authentic moments, but without new safety cues, your body flags alarm and drags you back to the persona. The fix isn't louder pep talks, it's swapping metrics and retraining cues, so your system learns that alignment, not applause, reduces threat. So what do we change? 3 levers. First, metrics. Move from outcomes to efforts and values. Ask, did I act in alignment? Not did they approve? Second, cues. Teach your body to recognize internal signals as safe guidance. Breath depth, jaw release, chest warmth, gut tension. Third, micro moments of authenticity. Small, low-stakes reps that prove the world doesn't collapse when you're slightly more real. Let me show you exactly how this rewiring looks in practice. Situation: you're about to send an email you'd normally over-polish. Old loop: scan expectations, activate competent persona, perfect every line, hit send, short relief, long disconnection. New loop: pause for a 20-second body reset. 3 slow exhales, unclench jaw, soften shoulders. Ask one values question. What's the honest, kind version? Draft a B- email that's clear, not ornate. Send. Track anxiety for 10 minutes. If the world stays stable, that's a rep. Your nervous system logs. Alignment happened, and we're safe. Common mistakes when installing the new OS. Going too big, too fast. Turning the new behaviors into a fresh performance. Look how authentic I am. Or ignoring the body while changing language. Keep the reps small, private, and embodied. If you need a rule of thumb, use this. Choose the action that's 2 degrees more honest and 2 degrees less polished than your norm. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. The perception loop slows. The meaning error loosens. Skills return to being skills. Body debt starts to repay as breath and facial mobility come back online. The narrative trap weakens because you've collected counter-evidence. And suddenly, willpower isn't the engine, safety is. That's the system we're building next when we identify your specific personas and rewire their metrics on purpose. Identify your performance personas. Before we rewire the system, you need to know which costumes your brain reaches for. Most people rotate a few reliable masks depending on the room. We'll map your top 3 and make them workable. No shame, just clarity. Here are the common personas. As I describe them, note your strongest, yep, that's me reaction. The expert gains respect, control, and distance from criticism. Cost: isolation, pressure to always know. Triggers: ambiguity, high-stakes meetings, being asked thoughts. Exit strategy: allow, I'm not sure yet. Ask one clarifying question, and offer a next step instead of a full answer. The caretaker gains belonging and gratitude. Cost: resentment, self-neglect. Triggers: someone struggling, silence after a request, subtle guilt cues. Exit strategy: one boundary before any help. Here's what I can do today. Or, I can't take this on, try X resource. The entertainer gains attention and ease. Cost: invisibility of needs, exhaustion. Triggers: awkward pauses, tense rooms, unfamiliar groups. Exit strategy: let one moment land without filling it. Add one sincere line for every joke.